On that day, the park was filled with joyful sounds, laughter, running footsteps, and the soaring of balloons into the sky. Amidst this lively atmosphere, there was a little girl sitting in a wheelchair, unable to move like the other children, but her face still radiated joy and excitement. She was savoring every moment in the peaceful spring air, as a gentle breeze caressed her hair while the other children played around her. This scene seemed so ordinary, but it would soon become an unforgettable moment in the little girl's life. There is a question that very few dare to consider, yet it is an important one in this story. What would we do if an innocent child was attacked simply because of their skin color and disability? Do you think you have the courage to face such an act? Let me tell you the story of a little girl and a royal guard, where courage and justice changed everything. You will not believe that in this park full of joy, an act of cruelty could happen. The story is not just about an attack, but about how an individual, a stranger, could change the fate of a child, just through their silence and power. This story will make you reconsider the fundamental values of life, about courage and justice. The scene in the park continued as usual, with children's laughter and calls filling the air. The little girl in the wheelchair sat quietly by the tree, unaware that a threat was approaching. She wore a bright-colored dress and a colorful scarf, creating the image of an innocent child amidst nature. Her hair was slightly tousled, and the soft sunlight shone on her face, making her bright eyes sparkle. But not everyone shared in that joy. A man walking on the opposite path had a scowl on his face, clearly frustrated. Every step he took seemed to carry unexpressed anger, and his eyes seemed to be searching for something to release it on. The surrounding children, the noise of the park, everything seemed to contribute to his discomfort. And then, his eyes landed on the girl. From the moment their eyes met, she became the target of his fury. He looked at her with contempt, then moved closer. Each of his steps grew faster, more determined, as he headed straight for her. A stream of questions raced through her mind. Why is he looking at me like that? What did I do wrong? As he approached, his voice cut through the air, sharp as a knife. What are you doing here? People like you don't belong here. These words were not just an insult to her disability, but also to her skin color. The words stung like a slap to her soul, causing the smile on her face to fade, replaced by fear, a feeling of helplessness when she realized no one would stand up to protect her. The little girl tried to stay calm, but her small hands trembled as they gripped the armrests of her wheelchair. Her mind was full of confusion, not knowing what to do, just trying to stay silent, hoping everything would end without anything terrible happening. But the man did not stop. He gritted his teeth, leaned down and continued, "You're nothing. No one cares about you." His words pierced her heart like a dagger. And then, he began to shake her wheelchair violently, showing no mercy. The girl panicked, clutching the armrests, but the wheelchair kept shaking. An unexpected act of violence caught her off guard, and eventually, the wheelchair broke, causing her to fall to the ground. The entire park fell silent for a moment. A quiet atmosphere engulfed the space, as everyone around stood frozen, not knowing what to do. In that tense moment, when the air seemed to stop and all eyes were on the little girl, the man continued his ruthless actions. The laughter of the children around could not ease his anger, and when the wheelchair was overturned, the girl fell to the ground. Her breath quick and panicked, everyone stood still, eyes wide, unsure of what to do. That was when he, the royal guard, who had been watching from a distance, decided to step in. His appearance was not loud, but the atmosphere around him suddenly grew dense. He walked slowly yet powerfully, as if stepping into a battle he had been preparing for all his life. Each of his steps, though silent, rang out like the steps of justice, ready to crush any wrongdoing. As the guard approached the furious man, the latter looked up, and his confidence began to fade. The man took a deep breath, trying to remain calm, but he could not hide the fear in his eyes. He turned to face the guard, forcing a weak smile. "What? Who are you to stop me?" His voice was still full of defiance, but there was a slight tremor in it. The guard said nothing, simply staring at the man with a cold, sharp gaze. He didn't need to say more, for that look alone made the aggressive man feel as if he was facing an unbreakable concrete wall. The guard's gaze was not just an assessment, but a clear warning. This act could not be forgiven. "I don't need to explain myself to you, but you need to understand one thing," the guard said, his voice as cold as ice. "You do not have the right to harm this girl or anyone." These words cut through the air like a sharp sword. The man took a step back, saying nothing, but his face began to change color. The anger that once burned brightly was now replaced by rising fear. He knew, no matter how much he tried to argue, the guard's presence had rendered his intentions meaningless. The Royal Guard's story is not unique. It is like a chapter in the book of life, a chapter that not everyone has the courage to face. Let me tell you a story that happened in a neighborhood I know. One day, at a protest fighting for workers' rights, a group of people started acting in an extreme manner. They insulted and threatened others simply because of their differing views. A man in the crowd, not a politician or anyone with special power, but someone who felt he couldn't stay silent, stepped forward. "Listen to me," the man said loudly, his voice full of determination. "What you're doing is wrong. Don't let blind anger make you lose your sense of reason." These words were not a slogan, but a powerful call that caused the crowd to pause for a moment. In that instant, the crowd began to stop and the criticism began to subside. Support from those around them appeared. People who had hesitated before started to stand up and speak out. One person said, "We don't agree with these actions either. This is not the way to change society." These powerful words sparked a wave of change, causing the crowd to reconsider their actions. Just like the story of the Royal Guard, the small actions of one person can sometimes lead to immense change. Never think that you cannot change anything, because sometimes the right words at the right time, a determined action, can change everything. So, what is the lesson from this story? What we can learn from the Royal Guard is that, despite the difficulties and challenges life presents, courageous actions will always matter. Cruelty and injustice cannot survive if we have the courage to face them and stand up. The story is not just about protecting a little girl. It is also a lesson about holding on to our values in this society. In a world where people can easily turn their backs on the vulnerable, one person standing up, one determined action, can change an entire community. Each of us can be the one to stand up, to do what's right in difficult times, not needing to be a superhero with extraordinary strength. Sometimes, the right words, the right step, or just a strong look can change a situation. The Royal Guard did not need great power to protect the girl. He only needed to take the right action at the right moment, and the support of those around him made the difference. Never forget that silence in the face of injustice is complicity with evil. No matter how many people stand around watching, don't let hesitation and fear cause you to miss the chance to do what's right. Stand up, because your courage could be the light that guides others to act as well. In the end, when everything was over, the atmosphere in the park slowly returned to peace. But one thing could not change. The Royal Guard's courage had brought justice. Although the aggressive man was punished, the lesson of courage, of not staying silent before wrong, remained. None of us can change the whole world, but each of our small actions can make a difference. No matter who you are, whether you have power or not, if you stand up to defend what is right, you will change the lives of those around you. Remember, when facing injustice, don't stand still. Stand up, even if it's just a step, a word, or an action. It can change the world. This story is proof of that. Thank you for following this story. If you found this story inspiring and valuable, don't forget to hit the like button and share your personal thoughts in the comments below. We would love to hear your contributions and insights. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button so you won't miss out on the latest inspiring stories and life lessons from Heartfelt Moments 85. Let's spread positive values and inspire others together.